What's going on, everybody? You've got the card board coach here with your boy, Coach Co. And team, we've got here a very special guest today. We've got Sheridan from On It Athlete. How you doing today?
Doing great. Very excited to be here and really looking forward to the conversation.
I am happy to have you. I'm especially happy to have you because I feel like not enough people know who you are, but also what your company is. I think that not enough people. I think that people should know, and that's what I meant by it. I think that people should know, and that not enough people know. So let's start off by um, introducing yourself. What do you do, Sheridan? You work with On It Athlete. What is On It Athlete?
Yeah, so we're a print company that specializes in trading cards, sports trading cards for college athletics. We work with whole teams. So instead of just picking out star players off each team, we focus on whole team NIL deals where every player on the roster, usually including the walk-on athletes as well, are part of our sets. And we do a variety of other things in addition to trading cards. We have a big card product and wall clings, similar to kind of like a fat head, posters.
Yeah,
But most people know us for our trading cards that we make for college athletes.
amazing. And so for these college cards, most people attribute college or the way that they associate college cards is like Prism Draft or it's basketball or football, but you guys do several different sports, correct?
Right. Yep. We obviously the biggest sports we do are college football and college basketball.
Yeah,
We do women's basketball, volleyball. We're actually going to do golf for one of the universities
unreal.
with gymnastics, wrestling. So we really go across a really broad spectrum of sports in college athletics. And our goal is to work with over 7,500 athletes this year on trading card deals. So,
I think that's incredible. And when we start talking into the whys, the listeners will find out exactly why it's even more incredible. But I want to stop you really quickly and talk about some of the really interesting parts about this. Number one, I think that first of all, you can we talk about the PSA thing?
yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk
Good.
about that? Do you want to talk about it? And then I can go through
Yeah.
my whole thought process after that.
Yeah, so I met Chris Carlin at the Mint Collective in Las Vegas this year, and I didn't have a booth set up. I was an attendee. I was there to learn. Really wanted to have product that people that are deep in the industry loved and appreciated. And so I was there as an attendee, but I got to walk around. I showed Chris Carlin, who's like a vice president or president of the PSA, some of our packs of trading cards, and he liked them and said, "Hey, give me some of them, and then send in kind of your set list, and we'll see, whether or not you guys can qualify to be officially graded by PSA." Took about a month and a half, 2 months, but heard back, and they approved us, and so yeah, our buyers, people that are out and acquiring the cards, can now send them in, and we've had a few of our buyers early on shoot some screenshots back to us of mint tens, and that's an amazing feeling. The first time we saw that, it was like you almost wanted to cry. Really,
Yeah. Yeah. I
like
mean, that must have been like a coming of age moment, right? From like start to
yeah,
finish. So
yeah,
before we get into your story, because I really want to know about it and I want everyone else to know about it too, I think that this is pretty cool and pretty special. And I mean, if anyone knows me, I don't support a ton of, I mean, number one, ripping wax. And number two, when it comes to I like up and coming companies, I'm like, I kind of want to like see it. I want to see like feel it out. I want to like,
yeah,
let's see what happens. I think it's very cool that don't just you haven't just jumped on the like hot things. So you haven't just jumped on like the football and the basketball. And in fact, you know, there's women's softball. There is like, I mean, so many things you mentioned: gymnastics, wrestling. I think there are so many athletes that get featured in these sets, and that it must be an incredible feeling as an athlete. And in this interesting collecting space where we're always kind of looking for the firsts of whether it be like individual athletes or well, I guess it's individual athletes, but whether it's a team sport or whether it's a sport like wrestling, for instance, it would be very interesting to see, someone's first card in like given the fact that you make cards for everybody, somewhere down the line, one of those people becomes like a very noteworthy individual, either in sport or in like everyday life. I mean, we saw this previously with the Miami Hurricanes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson card that was like a perforated out of Sports Illustrated. You guys have taken it one step further. It's not like a cutout in a magazine. Like, these are legitimate trading cards. And, later on in the show, if you're watching visually, you're going to see me open up a pack, maybe even two, and see what these things look like. Cause I've seen them firsthand. And these are legit trading cards. These are not perforated. I should also mention that like the packs, I can't explain the feeling of them. Like, they're like, there's a distinct texture to these packs. And maybe you want to elaborate a little bit on that later.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on where you guys fit into the space, and how I think it's very cool that you're giving collectors an opportunity, but also athletes an opportunity essentially to get recognized like early on, where I mean, I guess there hasn't been a lot of recognition in the past, unless you're like a football or a basketball player, maybe a baseball player, right? And that's pretty much where it's capped out for the most part.
Yeah, that's traditionally, I think there's a growing trend of collecting college trading cards, but the industry still pales in comparison to professional sports.
Yeah.
Then when you look at the kind of Olympic sports or non-football
Yes.
basketball sports,
Yes.
they probably haven't even ever seen a card for most of those sports. And one of the things that became apparent to us as we started to get into the college space and creating trading cards is how many athletes we weren't capturing or weren't doing deals with. But those sports all have their niches and diehard fan bases that really are passionate about their sports. Those athletes are passionate, their families are, but a lot of these sports have big followings.
Yeah.
And um, the fans of those sports are just extremely passionate about those athletes and those athletic teams. And we're like, hey, the runs might not be as big of a run that we do for football, but you could still do a run for, like, honestly, softball, for instance, at Alabama, 3,500 packs. They sold really well. The fans were super passionate. I think the deal that we did with Montana Fouts to autograph cards was the biggest deal we did for any athlete, the highest paid deal we did for any athlete. So it was really fun to go on there, make those cards. I think they're one of our best sets that we've actually ever made, and we made some really cool specialty cards as well, some parallels and one-on-one signature cards in that set. And
Yeah. So I think that element is really cool too. I feel like the fact that like, because some sports and maybe specific teams don't have the same prints, like, again, if like one of these people pops off in like just life, like it's a super scarce, like there's just not a lot of these that are out in circulation, truthfully. So I think there's just so many cool collecting elements here. You briefly mentioned that there's parallels, and I think that when you're talking about like full team sets, I don't think that people think that the set is going to have parallels. It's not going to have like one of one's autographs even. So like, I want you to talk about that. I want you to talk about,
yeah,
what kind of parallels are there? Are they
yeah,
serially numbered? Like,
yeah.
talk to me about your process here.
Yeah. So our standard pack looks like this. And like you said, it has a silk. We call it On It Silk. So it's a specialty fill that we put on the
Nice.
packaging. 14 cards in a pack. They are collegiate license company approved or CLC approved. Some of the universities use FLM or Fanatics Licensing Management. So we're also an FLM vendor. 14 cards come in a pack. For a football team, there's probably around 100 to 120 athletes on the team.
Yeah.
So we mix it up. We use a random number generator to create the sequences, and then we use a weighted distribution formula that we created to weight the starters so they show up a little more frequently than the non-starters. But if you buy a pack, you're really going to get a great representation of the star athletes down to the walk-on athletes. So everybody's going to be represented in our packs really well. And then what we found from going to these shows and trying to really dig deep into the industry and be diehards about what we're doing is people were like, man, you should come up with some of the variations because our signature cards are pretty rare. They are all serial numbered, and we only do hand autograph cards. We don't use stickers. I like
Ooh.
it to be with, right on the card.
Yeah.
What we found is, man, it would be cool to have a few other specialty series that come in the packs as well. So we come up with
Yeah.
our Blackout series, which is a matte black with gold foiling, and then some really cool parallels off of the base card
That's
to throw.
amazing. That's great. I mean, the first thing I thought of when we first started talking about like these sets, I thought it would be a base set, right? Like again, like you think about college athlete cards that are not like basically Panini, truthfully, right? Like, and
Yeah.
you think of like perforated stuff that really hasn't had much time and attention and love put into it. And and then we start talking about a company that's creating full sets, and again you think like a base set, and like that's still really cool, but the fact that now there's parallels, there's so many, there's like different refractors, autographs, even on card
Yeah.
autographs, like I think there's a lot of very interesting components to what you guys have come up with here.
Yeah. Yeah. And with all due respect, we really appreciate what some of these other trading card companies do.
Yeah.
I mean, they make world-class cards and they're great companies. What we found though is we felt like we had a great niche in the collegiate space to come in and do something special for college athletics. Partially, we're kind of locked out of pro sports because of the licensing rights.
Yeah.
We don't have them. But in
Yeah.
college, there was an opportunity to come in and acquire the licensing rights from the university. So everything we do is officially licensed product. We don't make anything that's non-licensed. And then we're able to work with college athletes and get them excited because of just the profit sharing opportunities. We share around 40% of the
Wow.
revenue with the athletes. So it's a
Wow.
great opportunity for them. And then, like you said, we felt like in the college space, nobody had really given it that much love or attention to detail. So we came in and we wanted to showcase how legitimate we were trying to make our product. I mean, that we live, breathe, and sleep the quality of the product. I preach it every day. We have a lot of really cool things we're going to be rolling out. But at the end of the day, it all starts with, do you have the very best product? When somebody looks at your edges, your corners, your surface, your designs, your elements that you're putting on the card, are you pushing the envelope? Are you doing new and innovative things? And then does the quality match what people that have been collecting cards for decades expect out of a top quality product?
Did someone say quality control?
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. And I love to hear that that's like one of
Yep.
your main focal points. I think that that's so important, right? Especially when it
Yeah.
comes to, I mean, these days it's hard enough to like get hits. And then when you get those hits, you have to bank on the quality control of those hits being good. It's like you get hit by from two sides, right? You're like, man,
Yeah.
I got this hit against all odds, and it's incredibly off-centered and there's terrible edges. You're like, or like a massive surface issue. You're like, how did this happen to me? Like, how
Yeah.
did this happen to me? So
Yeah. We,
Sheridan, talk to me a
we
little
use
bit
a rule
about,
of
sorry,
thumb
go
at
for it. Pardon?
we use a rule of thumb here on it. It's if your child were to get that card, any card that we
Yeah.
produce, especially the signature cards, how would they feel about that and what experience would you want them to have? And so we've had some painful things happen where one player accidentally signed with Goldie too quickly. We told him you have to let these cards dry for 30 seconds before stacking,
Yeah.
and he stacked them before the ink had dried. And so we had like 30 cards, and we're like, well, what do we do? And I was like, hey, just follow the rule. Would you want your son or daughter to get that card? If that was the one big hit they got,
Yeah.
it kills me not to include them in the deck, but or in the series, but we have to match the standard of excellence. We can't let it slide. When people see our cards, we need to make sure that they love what the product that they're getting, that they're passionate about it, they're excited about it. Because that's how you build a rabid fan base. That's how you get people to be like, man, no, these guys are legit. They're
Yeah.
up and coming. I might not have heard of On It yet, but everything I'm seeing so far, I really like and love what they're doing.
I love that. So let's talk about, I mean, On It up and coming, right? Where does On It come from? Like, not necessarily the name, but like, where does the vision come from? I know we
Yeah,
talked about there's like obviously a hole in the space where you guys thought that you could really grow.
yeah,
Um, but was it just strictly like a business decision? Like where does this come from?
yeah. So me and my business partner both collected cards for a long time. We both hadn't really collected cards for about 10 to 15 years, depending on which one of us you're talking to. But
Yeah,
we definitely had a passion for it. I mean, my wife wants me to throw them away all the time because I
always,
have so many cards,
always.
and where I'm storing them, but I love them, and I was super passionate about it when I growing up, and I love collecting cards, and my business partner is the same. But we sold a prior company, and we had this massive print operation, all this specialized equipment, and we made this set of cards for my business partner's son's 10-year-old flag football team.
That's
But
really
we went
cool.
all out. We went all out and made them
Yeah,
nice as we possibly could. And the parents saw them and they loved them. And like 2 days later, we were sitting around in the office and I was like, you know what? Like, I haven't seen Boise State roll out a set of trading cards. And I know that athletes can get paid now through NIL. We should call them up and just see. So they actually were willing to take the meeting with us. We made some sample variations off different card types we could potentially produce.
yeah,
They loved them and they're like, well, we're going to give you guys a shot because you're local, you're right here, and it looks like you're legit. So we made the cards. We made 10,200 packs for Boise State. We weren't sure how many to produce, but we're like,
yeah.
okay, kind of a shot in the dark. And they sold out in 12 days. And people were like,
Really,
hey, yeah, they sold out. Like,
really.
yeah, it was crazy because we the news covered the story. A lot of the stores that are being sold out had to put like
Like
stickers
signs
up.
up.
Yeah, signs up
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
sorry, cards are sold out. And so
yeah.
we just kind of created a frenzy here in this market. And that's when we knew, like, okay, we might be on to something with what we're doing. And it's really cool to see how the coaches, the team, and then the community rally behind this whole team concept. They know when they buy a pack that every athlete on the team's benefiting financially. And then it's kind of a feel good story because it's not just an NIL deal only for the star athletes,
Yeah.
NIL deal for everybody on the team, which the coaches love that, right? Because they're like, yeah, of course, this is going to bring the team together.
Yeah,
It's not
it's a team
apart.
sport in most
Yeah.
cases, right? Like
Yep. And so that's kind of how it started. And then we had the chance to work with Cal, Oregon, and Washington last year for football, and then Gonzaga for basketball, Alabama for basketball, and then we did Alabama softball and baseball. And then in the interim, as we were doing those follow-on runs, we had connected with a lot of colleges, and some had reached out to us. And we're probably right in the ballpark of around 42 major Power Five programs that will be rolling out this year, starting with football and then some of the some volleyball teams as well at these universities, and then rolling into winter sports and spring sports at many of the universities.
that's impressive stuff. And so you guys
Yeah.
have only been operational for 2 seasons now. This is going into your third.
This is going into our second year. Yeah,
Wow, wow.
yeah.
All right,
So
and
yeah,
like 42 licenses already.
yeah, yep. And some we're working with Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, LSU,
Some big
like,
names there,
yeah,
man.
maybe the biggest ones. Yeah, so
Yeah, those are some big
really
names there.
exciting. A lot of high expectations, high hopes. We have a huge expectations on our shoulders, and we definitely want to deliver in a big way. And we don't duplicate designs, so every team's going to have their own unique um, package and run and base card set and custom signature cards and parallel cards that will be unique to each team. So we really want each fan base when they get the cards to feel like we hit the nail on the head for what the athletic sports at their university mean, and kind of building elements that are really special to that fan base and to those teams.
That's incredible. And I mean, a huge element as well is that you see these stadiums packed. I mean, college stadiums have among the most. There's more fans in college stadiums than
Yeah,
arguably any other venues, almost globally, right? Like, and
yeah,
so realistically, with that kind of passion and dedication, like it only makes sense that there's just this massive collectability element. And it just doesn't make much sense to me anyway why some of the college stuff doesn't do as well as I think it should. And I'm not telling anyone to go out there and buy college stuff, but just based on just the sheer love and dedication towards like the schools that I've seen, like die hard, like you graduate from that school, like you die for that school. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
decades later, alumni like still repping that.
Yeah.
It didn't really make much sense to me that there wasn't like more love for college cards in general. And I mean, that doesn't seem to be the case if there's the full teams and like you're talking about right now, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a very interesting space. And you know, I too I'm excited to kind of navigate it like while seeing you navigate it, but also like the sport as much as I can because I think that I mean you got some legs here.
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, we feel like we're on to something, and um, we hope that we can establish ourselves as a company that fans really love and appreciate, what we're doing. And we believe, kind of like what you said, that there's this huge underlying current for fans that want to support their university, want to support the athletes that are attending there. And like you said, when if there's a there's a real passionate fan base here in the United States for college athletics, and so we feel like we've tapped into that and hit a vein, and that we're creating a product that's really resonating with college fans, and we hope that we can really exceed expectations this year and blow it out of the water, and help bring a whole new generation or a whole new era of card collectors into the industry. Really, is what we're trying to
Yeah,
do.
well, the everyday person, right? Like
Yeah,
that's yeah. And like from
yeah,
like a school level, right? Like this is
yeah,
which is pretty interesting. I will
yeah,
say another, I mean, element that's fantastic is, and I mean, we've talked about this, is the fact that some of these athletes move on. And in fact, I would say like the vast majority of these athletes move on. And like if they don't become pro, I mean, realistically, they never really benefit from their college career, right?
right,
And so you're giving them an opportunity with that 40% revenue share to benefit off their college career, like while they're still playing. And
right.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, and that's honestly one of the main reasons why we share so much of the revenue with the athletes is pro sports. Those athletes usually have multi-million dollar contracts
Yeah.
to for the athletic side of the business, right? For playing on the court or on the field. Where college athletes, most of their money making opportunity is tied to deals, NIL opportunities. And so we see them as vastly different. And honestly, because we're a startup company, and because we're directly using the player's name, image, and likeness to create our product, we were like, hey, let's treat them as if they're business partners.
Yeah.
And we know we're making money because of their name, image, and
Well,
likeness.
like it
So
wouldn't exist if it wasn't for
yeah,
them, right? Like it's like
right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
we're like, hey, if we
Yeah.
pay these men and women really well, and they see how passionate we are, and they see the product, hopefully we can create this tidal wave of positive momentum behind our brand and what we're doing, and then build excitement within the college athletic community, the actual athletes themselves, about how we treat them and how we go above and beyond to try to share as much of the profitability and revenue as possible with them.
That's awesome. Can we talk? So far it's all been hunky dory, and I love that. I love the positivity.
Yeah,
Are you so obviously Fnatic's been making a lot of moves recently.
yeah,
Um, a lot of the industry is if they've been in if they've been in the industry for a while, especially if they own certain segments of the hobby or shop owners, distributors, a lot of them are somewhat weary and or I don't know if afraid is the word, but for the argument's sake, let's say kind of afraid of what Fanatics could do to
mhm.
whether that's like limit what they're capable of or perhaps divert revenue streams. Are you worried with Fanatics' aggressive pursuit of, I mean, essentially like owning everything in the industry?
Yeah, and I do respect Michael Rubin's strategic mind. The way he does things is so interesting, and
Yeah.
like I said, he's very they like to dominate the industries they're in. You
Yeah.
know, they want to do extremely well. So the trading card space is no exception to that. Obviously, they've done a really incredible job of locking up the contracts in pro sports, and
Yeah.
they do have some exclusivity that's rolling online in the college space as well. Some of these universities have signed exclusive deals to work with Fanatics and Tops in the future, and that's kind of why we're hoping that um, we can have a symbiotic relationship. I don't know if
Mhm.
it's going to happen or not. I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah.
The way we see ourselves is we really want to be a company that's expanding the audience for collecting cards,
Yeah.
and we bring a lot of new people in that
Yeah.
either
Like collecting license stuff even. Do you know what I mean?
right
Like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what we're hoping is that by not selling packs of cards that just have star athletes, which is kind of Tops and Panini's business model, especially in the college space,
For sure.
and then also not selling solo autographed cards, we're really focused on selling just our whole team sets of cards. We do have autographed cards, but they all go into the packs.
Yeah.
So we don't sell them for high price or higher margin. All of our autographed stuff,
All,
literally,
all
you're
the
gonna
same packs. There's no like
yeah,
different tiered packs. It's like
no
just
different.
the
They're
same
yeah,
packs.
all the same right now. And
Yeah.
so like the Brandon Miller autograph cards we made, I saw the last one that sold on eBay sold for $599.
Wow.
Got that out of it.
Well,
The
because it's
same,
on card too, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah. So I mean,
twelve
that's
dollar,
pretty
yeah,
big.
$12.99 pack of cards. That's what somebody bought that in. And so and we're like, okay, if we stay out of Fanatics way in the solo trading card space and the star packet card space, and they see us as this whole team provider, my assumption, and I could be wrong on this, but my assumption is that if Fanatics did get into the space, they're probably only going to want to primarily focus on football and maybe men's basketball.
Yeah.
We've been a
Yeah.
great partner to so many of these universities wanting to do a broad array of sports, men's and women's sports across a huge spectrum of
Yep.
sports we're doing. We're even doing a mixed set at one university for cross country and track and field.
Wow.
So we really do go across a very broad spectrum of sports, and we're hoping that Top sees us as, hey, if we're going to allow one company to kind of coexist, let's have these guys be the company. They're focused on whole team deals
Yeah.
and then they're focused on all these other
Because
sports
there's
that
no way that Tops. I mean, they may be, but the printing capacity for making all of this stuff and making it quality for every single sport, every single player, like that's it just doesn't. I mean, it's something very specialized, and you guys have been doing great at
yeah,
it so far, right? But like a company like Tops is
yeah.
like, do you move into that space? I don't
And
know.
all of our equipment is set up to do small batch runs. We use digital print presses, and everything we do is we can do big runs. We can make up to 15,000 packs in a day.
Wow.
The way our machinery works and the print operations work and the packaging operation works, it's all done to be able to do small batch runs as well. So if a team does just want 2,000 packs of cards made, we can design that and produce it and package it within a matter of days.
That's impressive.
Whereas I don't think Tops is going to want to go back and recalibrate all the machinery and then their distribution model to do that.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that they see us and there's enough pushback. Honestly, we're hoping in the next year or two, as we do all of our deals and we pay the athletes as much as we're paying them, and we're great partners to the university, that there's this groundswell of positive momentum and like, hey, these guys pay the athletes tenfold what any other company does. They make really great product. They pay the university really well for the licensing rights, and the product sells well, and the fans really like this whole team deal. Like, can we please allow these guys to keep doing what they're doing?
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we'll stay out of Topps way and Fanatics way. We're not trying to mess with them. We know how talented they are. We know how big they are. We know how dominant Michael Rubin and his organization are.
Yeah.
We're just trying to operate in our limited lane here of whole team NIL deals, and we're not trying to,
Oh,
beat
yeah, yeah.
where
You're
we're
not
at.
trying to
We know
take
who we
market
are.
share from
Yeah.
people, like
Yep.
yeah, like I mean, collectibles is such a broad space, right? And that's kind of I will say that I think you're doing a great job like from a ground level, truthfully, right? I think a lot of times as collectors, we forget that the everyday person, it probably isn't like a collector of sports cards, right? Like, and so, finding a way to make those relevant for everyday people, perhaps it's through like
Yeah.
school pride
Yeah.
at a college level, right?
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
and we think that just like throwing marketing down their throats is gonna like magically force people to buy stuff, like, oh
Right.
look, uh
Right.
I don't know, little baby is opening a pack of sports cards. You're like, okay, well that's
Yeah.
really cool for people who are in the space. They're like, oh my god, this is unreal,
Yeah.
But my sister doesn't give a flying shit that little baby opened a pack of sports
All
cards,
right. Right.
you know?
So yeah, I have a lot of thoughts around this, man.
Yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah. Let's hear
what
him. Let's hear him. Let's
I
go.
talk to my team about a lot.
Yeah, let's go.
Like that. So this is my idea, right?
Yeah,
When I think of a football stadium, like you said, college stadiums, they're pretty massive,
yeah,
especially for. So let's say there's 100,000 seat stadium. If you could put a heat index over every seat where there was somebody that actually would buy trading cards, in my mind, I see like 4 or 5,000 of those seats light up.
yeah,
95,000 seats are
yeah.
not.
That's
And I'm like,
correct.
how do I get an extra 20 to 25,000 seats light up? And so a big part of what you're going to see us doing and some of the great innovation that we're rolling out this year is really fan engagement experiences.
Yeah. Okay.
We're never going to sacrifice the quality of the card, but what I mean by this is, what if you could go into a, a virtual room, like you pull a card out that gives you a one-on-one opportunity to basically jump on a meeting like this with the star quarterback for
Like
a
in
few
real time?
real time, get to ask them questions, and then they can digitally sign something. And if they want us to print that out on something cool, we'll a poster or whatever, we'll do that. Or imagine pulling a specialty card that gives you a one-on-one dinner with Nick Saban at a nice steakhouse in Tuscaloosa, right? It's experiences. Or a lot of these athletes hold summer camps. So let's say it's a Bo Nix, there's 20 spots to attend Bo Nix Summer Passing Academy, right, at University of Oregon. Different
I mean,
experiences
we're
like
talking
that.
about some pretty cool stuff right now, man. Like,
Right.
is
Yep.
this stuff that you think you guys can make this happen?
Yeah. No, for sure. You will see something. Yeah, you'll see this
Really?
happening this year. In addition to that,
It's a little
we're
bit
like,
better than a Topps follow back, in my opinion.
yeah, which
Like,
we honestly heard them roll that out at the Mint Collective. We're
yeah,
like, that's a really cool idea.
yeah,
And then we also heard Brianna Ionescu, who played at Oregon and then now she's in the WNBA, talk about what she thought would be interesting. And she talked a lot about at the Mint Collective because she was one of the keynote speakers.
yeah,
How do you create more engagement between the athletes and the fans? And so one of the ways we're going to be doing that through our product is rolling out our favorite series. It's a trading card series, um, just like any of our other series that we already made. But on the back of the card, instead of just having just traditional stats like passes, attempted, completed,
yeah,
touchdowns, interceptions,
yeah,
you're going to have the favorites of that athlete, like their favorite food, their favorite shoe, their favorite music artist, their favorite vacation spot, their favorite class, their favorites of their life. So
yeah.
you actually start to get to know these people as humans, not just as athletes. So we're doing it through the product, and then we're doing it through unique and individual customized experiences for the fans at each of these universities. Another way we're doing this, which we're rolling it out at 4 universities in a couple weeks. We're flying to the university. Ohio State has a fan day. Oklahoma has this fan day experience. And at these universities, we're going to allow, kind of like Panini's hometown series in a way, but
Yeah.
we're going to allow college or at these big events, we're going to allow fans that attend to draw the backdrop for trading cards. We're going to segment it by age, like 0 to 6,
Yeah.
12, 13 to 18, and then older. And then they're actually going to draw the backdrop of, like, we'll prompt them like, what does Ohio State football mean to you? Don't add in players, but just draw the backdrop. And then we're going to overlay some of the star athletes on the teams onto those backdrops for the cards. And then on the back of the card, we'll designate the fan or the
Like
family.
designed by like
Yeah,
like
designed
Scotty
by,
or something.
yeah,
Scotty
exactly.
age 7 or
Yeah,
like that's pretty
yeah.
cool. That's
So we're
pretty cool.
mixing in cool and fun ways. What we think and where we're really, this is what I think will happen if we're successful and able to prove ourselves and survive, is that over time, companies like Tops and Panini and Upper Deck and Leaf, these companies will see us as innovative in the space, but also as a company that's bringing in a whole new demographic of card buyers
Yeah.
in trading cards. Some because they love the quality of the card, but some because just like some of the collectors, they chase those signature cards or rare parallels. We want people to chase the experiences, and then because they're so tied into the college, a lot of people they're very loyal to the college that they attended,
Yeah.
hoping that instead of just having, like I said, go back to that reference of 100,000 seat stadium and only 4 or 5,000 seats light up when you talk about who's actually interested in buying cards. Well, when you combine the cards plus the experiences and the uniqueness of some of our sets, we're hoping that maybe 20 or 25,000 seats light up in a 100,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
And if we do that,
That's a
and if we're
quarter. That's a quarter of
that,
it. You know,
yeah.
that's big. That's big time.
And we hope that if that works, that Topps and Panini, all these other card companies in the industry benefit as well by bringing in a whole new segment, a new demographic of people. Maybe they start by buying our packs of cards and they realize, wait, this is really fun. I'm really enjoying this. And then they go on to Whatnot and they start doing breaks and
Yeah.
now NBA packs of cards and they
Yeah.
love that. And it just introduces a whole new wave of people into the industry. That's what we really want to do,
Yeah.
through creative and innovative ways to create deeper engagement between athletes and fans.
Yeah. No, that's the one thing that I was gonna say. Like, the the most promising thing that's coming out of this conversation with you and a lot of the things that I'm seeing from essentially Topps right now, right, is we saw the MLB All-Star game just happened. They had their fan fest, and a focal point of that was sports cards. You know, like on MLB, like they're breaking packs, they're giving away packs of cards to kids. Like these are things that like kind of took place before, but there wasn't as much of a heavy push on that. And so, you know, between the heavier push to like get product in people's hand from Topps, you're on the ground working with these universities and you know, really these athletes, these diehard fans, trying to get some sort of collecting element to happen here. Like there's a massive push, and we're probably going to see maybe in 10 or 15 years what kind of collectors result like because of these pushes, right? Like it's very obvious that the industry is trying to get more people into it, and so it's kind of it's a wonderful place to be in, even though we don't really know where we're going to end up. But the fact that everyone's like, let's try to get all of our friends, let's try to get my mom collecting, let's try to get my sister collecting, right? Like, you know, to my point about like little baby opening packs doesn't entertain my sister. But like my sister went to university and she was a pretty big, she was like a diehard, like went to Guelph everything. Like Guelph University in Toronto, in Ontario. And she was like at football games, at like lacrosse games, you know what I mean? Like just like someone who participated a lot in the festivities, right? So I think of her and I'm like, you're way more likely to collect a card of your friend on it than you are to collect, I don't know, like Julio Rodriguez because you saw him on a commercial. Do you know what I mean? So like, so that's a really cool element as well. Where like 100,000 people, let's say, even if they don't like collecting cards, I'm sure they'd still feel really cool about owning a card that like of their friend or friends on it, right? So on it, there you go, pun intended.
No, what you're saying is exactly what we talk about and think about at our company all the time. It's there's so many people that are passionate about college athletics. They're not passionate about trading cards. They love sports in general, and they'll go to events, they'll go to the games, they love being there. And it's just how do you just get them over the hump? How do you get them to get to the point where they're like, hey, I'm gonna buy this pack. Maybe it's mostly because they want to support their friends or they're trying to chase some experience, but you get them to the point where they're actually going to make a purchase of the cards. And that's all we're hoping for. We don't know where it goes from there, but if we can get new people that haven't done it before to go out and buy a pack of cards, so maybe that's it. Maybe it ends there for them and they're like, hey, it was cool. These cards are nice. It's not my thing. But maybe to a lot of people, it's like, hey, I didn't get the experience, but I love the cards.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go get a couple more packs and I can't wait to see what comes next. And then they find that they're really passionate about it and really love it.
And then they pick up these packs and they just want to rub them on their face because of the material is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
So I'll
serious.
tell you that
I
I'll
feel
tell
like
you
I
the
could file
story
off
on that.
my my calluses on this pack, man.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, they have that silk fill, right? It feels so
yeah,
nice. But here's the funny story about the packaging, because uh, as nice as it is and nice as it looks, we were kind of scrambling to come up with that. So I told you we went down to Boise State. They said, "Hey, we're gonna give you a shot." So we knew we could make incredible cards, and we do everything in Boise. We design the cards, we uh, produce the cards, we cut the cards, and then we package the cards
yeah,
all here at our operation. Well, we got to the point where we're like, we had the designs ready, we had everything ready to run the cards, and we're like, what are we going to pack the cards in? So we're like, oh, we'll just buy a fin sealer machine. That's easy, right? Well, they're really hard to find. Basically, they're not really manufactured in the US. So it was going to take like 3 to 5 months to get one from overseas. And it was going to be like $500,000 or $600,000. And we're like, well, we have 3 weeks to have the product in market. That's what we told
yeah,
Boise State. So we had this CNC machine. Basically, it's like we do a lot of prototyping on it. It's
yeah.
you can put a bunch of different unique shapes and stuff on it. And so we're like, hey, we're gonna have to come up with our own custom packaging. We're not gonna be able to use the foil wrap or something like that. We have to come up with our own unique packaging, and we basically have like 2 days to get the prototype done
Crazy.
and make it. So we did it, and then we put that silk finishing on it and design on it, and then we started to fill it. And we're like, man, honestly, we feel like it's the best card packaging out there.
I
So
I've not
we got
felt
very
one
lucky.
like not even, and like I know I've been joking around about like how like smooth it is, and it is, but like I want to show this to people who are visibly watching. So like it looks like a very, very, very professional pack of cards here though. And I'm actually gonna open them up because
Yeah,
I want to see what people I want people
yep,
to see rather what they
yeah,
look like. Those are the Huskies.
yep. University of Washington,
Yeah.
which is a fun set to make. You got Michael Penix Jr. right there on the front of the.
And I mean even the photography is
Yeah,
like, come on, man. That's a
yeah.
solid card. I'm not even pumping your tires right now. I think I got like an autograph or something here. And you said there's autographs in this set, right?
Yeah, there it is. 1 out of 10 packs had an
Good
autograph.
price.
Yep. And if you open
There
up
is one
and
here, right? Is that what you said?
you might. I mean, I don't know. I
There's an
don't.
upside down card. Does that mean it's an autograph? No. Oh, you got me a little excited there.
Yeah, you have a chance. You might hit them. They usually get put into the middle, so it's kind of right in the middle of the packs. But
These are
and then the
gorgeous.
basketball ones, the first football sets, we didn't have our blackout series, but by the time we rolled out the basketball sets, we had our premium blackout cards. So
Yeah,
you might hit one of those too, because they're in there. But
these are solid, man.
yeah,
So talk to me. What can we do to help get you a little bit more exposure? Where can people find these packs?
yep. Yeah, we sell the packs in a few spots. So we usually work with the on-campus retailers, whether that's Follett or Legends or the local shop on campus or shops.
Okay.
We usually try to find one major retailer in market. Surprisingly, the best retail partners that we have a lot of success with are grocery chains and convenience stores, like gas station chains.
Yeah.
It's because they see so many people go in there, and it's just a great impulse buy. They see their team,
That's
they're
where I
probably
bought my first ever like pack of my
yeah,
first thing I've ever collected was stickers, and the
yeah,
first was from a convenience store, man. It's literally walking
yeah,
into a
that's
convenience
awesome.
store.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then we sell also directly on our website, ONITATHLETE.com. Yep.
Beautiful.
So if you go there, you'll see all the sets that we make up there, and you can purchase them there as well. So um,
How else can people support?
yeah,
Obviously, buying your product.
yeah, following us on any of our social media channels is great. Another thing that's really important to us is we feel like the best ideas come from fans. And so we want to hear your feedback. We want to know what product you want. We want to hear your ideas. And you might be surprised. We'll probably, if it's a good idea and we think we can do it, we'll probably bring it to life and make it a reality. So, like I told you, a lot of the different ideas that we're rolling out, some of those
Tons.
came directly from fans. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun. We did our first fan created trading card. We had one of the star athletes come into our office, and the family that selected that athlete met us there, and they got to design this upcoming edition, a specialty card with their family and that athlete together. So experiences like that are just once in a lifetime memories. We're all about that. But that idea came from fans, and so any ideas you guys have or things that you would like to see from our company, and we're a startup, so we're willing to take risks, we're willing to push the needle. I'm sure we'll try a few things that maybe flop, but we're definitely going to
Normal.
push the envelope and see what we can do to create that next level engagement between the fans and the athletes.
So far, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of the set. I'm a fan of yeah, man. I'm a fan of On It. So Sheridan, I really appreciate you jumping on the
Yeah.
podcast today. Team, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Cardboard Coach. As Sheridan said, please check out On It Athlete on Instagram, and support your local college athletes, please.
Yeah.
For now, Coach Co and On It Athlete are out of here.